Hello, welcome back from summer vacation and to our lesson for today. This project is called The Mexican Girl with Calle Lilies. It's by artist Linford Donovan, and she was born in 1906 in Los Angeles, California. She earned a bachelor's degree of fine art from UCLA, did a master's degree at UC Berkeley, and she worked for a long time in Hollywood as a costume designer. We have seen the Calle Lilly idea in many other artists as well, and one of those artists that we'll talk about is Diego Rivera. So let's go ahead and get started. Things that you are always going to need when you come to class are a piece of paper from the folder that I had you pick up. You're going to need a pencil, a Sharpie, and something to color with, and probably an eraser that works pretty well. So let's get started today. We're going to put our paper in this direction, and this is a copy of the original piece of art. This is my line drawing, which shows us the black and white, where we're starting and where we're going. And this one was another one that somebody did that was on a little bit larger paper. Okay, so as you know, I have a specific way of drawing people. And as we progress through our art and our art history, I like to point out that in order for your person to have perspective, you are going to need a curve between this eye and this eye. So that means no matter how large or small you make your person, you will always have, if you did a small person, you would have 3 eyes and then take that out. Or if you were going to do a larger person, you would make those and take that out. That is the mathematical equation that you need to have perspective in somebody's faces to get their eyes correct. Okay, so I'm going to start right here. Now, as you know, I am going to draw in Sharpie so you can see. So I'm actually going to draw that curve in the middle in pencil, and then I'm going to draw my 2 curves on each side, coming out of each side of it in marker. So let's go ahead and start there. Another reminder, we're not always happy with our work. It doesn't come out perfect. It's about the process and not the product. So as we start this new year, many of you have not been drawing this summer, and so I want you to remind yourself and give yourself some grace in what we're doing. Okay, so then we know that we drop the eyeball off of this curve, because even though we call it a ball, it is not a circle. Then we draw a little shape in here, and we are going to color her eyes today pretty dark with our Sharpie. So you can do that in pencil or in Sharpie. And this, she has dark eyes, but the white gives us a little bit of life in her. And then we can go ahead and close that curve off. And in this picture, we are going to give her a little bit of a curve on top for an eyelid. And as you can see, one of my eyelids is a little bit bigger than the other, and that is okay. Remember, we're not perfect, and our art is not going to be perfect. So this particular picture shows that she has 2 lines that kind of cross in here and here. And they lead to her eyebrows. And so as we come out, make those eyebrows. Remember that the eyebrow is always larger in the middle here than it is at the end. So the way I like to do it is I draw a little line up on each side, and then I connect it over. Connect it over. Just like that. So one of the things you're seeing is that I'm in a different setting than I was last year, and I'm actually drawing from my studio in San Luis Obispo this year. And so that's why the background's a little different. Okay, underneath her nose, now make sure that you passed her eyes, okay, and you're coming out a little bit. She's going to have a little bit of a curve, and then her nose is going to come around like that. So remember, with the nose, less is more. It's not perfect. It's kind of an illusion. It's how we see it as being round, and that's okay. So again, just what we've learned in the past, unless you're new with me, we know that the lip starts just below that nose. So I'm going to put another little curve here that curves like a river, and then I'm going to curve out on both sides. Now, I don't always have a ruler with me, so sometimes I just have to measure here and here to make sure that I have lips that are even. And I can also use the eraser for that. Sometimes I go here and I measure here, and then I go here, and I realize that I've got to come down a little bit more. Now, it's kind of looking like she's pouting, and that's okay. Alrighty. Then I'm going to put another little curve underneath here and come out and out. So that's her top lip. Now, in these pictures that she originally did, she didn't show a lot of the bottom lip. But I like to add it in there. So you can either leave it like this, or you can kind of add that bottom lip in there. So, many of you are probably looking at her and going, that's kind of really almost looks like a boy's face. And that's okay, because there's not a lot of difference in features. What makes it really look different is that how we put the hair on. So she's got these fun little bangs up here, and so I'm going to kind of come down here and I'm going to make my own. So remember, this is a, oops, look at that one. That one's straight. That would not be straight, so I'm going to go back in there and make her little bangs here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw off here and here like that. Then I'm going to bring her face around, not going too much further down than her lips, and bring it like that. As far as her neckline goes, she has two curves here, one, and then she kind of has another curve that curves in there and like that. And then we're going to pay some attention to the flowers. Remember, in drawing, we always want to draw what's in front first. So we have these beautiful little flowers here, the calla lilies. So the shape that I like to point out is this shape. So it kind of looks like a curve like that on these two. So you put two curves there. This one that she's holding there is going to look like this. This one is going to have a curve that looks like that. And I'm going to leave these two spaces down from here. I'm going to work on these flowers up above. So coming out of here is the stamen. That's the yellow part that has all of the really pretty pollen in it. Now, if you have a calla lily that you're holding, you will sometimes get that yellow and orange on you. And then this one, the same thing. The stamen kind of comes out and down. This stamen comes here, like that, and then up and So remember again that it's lines that make shapes and make forms. So we're just drawing lines in there right now and making shapes, and those will become the calla lilies. Okay, so right here I'm going to continue this line on right there, and then I'm going to kind of come up and around like that. Kind of looks like a teardrop. And then right here it has a little bit of another curve on it. I'll give you a time so that if you are wanting to erase that, you can. And then we'll move on to the second one here. So I'm going to extend this line a little bit here, and I'm going to extend it up a little bit there. And then from the top, I'm going to come around. And remember that flowers are organic shapes, so they're not going to be perfect. This one that she's holding, this curves around and comes down, and then comes back up, kind of like that. Okay, so now we'll work over here a little bit. This one kind of comes around and down and back. The top of the flower, again, doesn't have to be perfect, comes over the top, and the bottom comes like that. Now, what I said before was that she is actually holding 2 more flowers. So depending on your space, sometimes you can only get 1 more flower in there. Sometimes you can get a second flower in there. I'm only going to put 1 more in there today just to show you how we kind of use that space. On this one, I'm going to do the stamen first, and then I'm going to draw a curved line that jumps the stamen. And I want you to kind of think about the heart shape. So this flower kind of has that heart shape curve in it. Alrighty, so now we'll kind of work on tying it all together. We have the main features of her face, and we have the flowers that kind of surround it. So from here, okay, I am going to think about the fact that she has this beautiful outfit on, and then she has kind of this shawl that hangs over her head. So I want to not only recognize that right here, she's going to be wearing something, but that she has the shawl. So the first thing I'm going to do though is to do her hair. So right in here on both sides, I am going to draw down where her hairline is. It has to hit something there. I am going to take this line right here and give her an earring. And then I'm going to tuck another little earring on that side. So one of the things that you will learn is that in this project, it's not perfect. And so the artist purposely drew it very kind of themed for the Mexican girl. So now, you can always make a choice when you're doing dark hair, and if you want, you can give her a little bit more hair with the move of a Sharpie, which is nice. Okay, so then right here, I'm going to give her 2 lines down here, and then so see how I'm coming out right from that neck? I'm going to give her 2 lines here to my flower. So I haven't put the shawl on her. And you're going to be able to choose what colors you want to color her. Her hair, however, will be dark. Okay, so let's go for the shawl now. So right here, I'm going to extend my line a little bit more, and I'm going to draw the shawl here. I want you to keep going with your pencil and think about how you're going to tie that all in. So, and then I'm going to come from this one, and I can even come all the way out there if I want. So that's the outer line of her shawl. Now, our artist did not make her hands really realistic. They basically have some curves and some lines, but you don't really see them like an artistically realistic hand. So we're not going to worry about that as well. The next line I'm going to make is this line here. It needs to jump and come down there. And then I'm going to work on bringing her hand in here and in here. Okay? So her arm comes down here. So somewhere here, I have to bring her arm down there like that. It's going to come around. That's the bottom line of the arm. And then I have to put a curve in for this part. So depending on what your spacing looks like, that's going to change your drawing. So then I'm just going to put a few lines in here for her fingers, and that is it. It isn't a super realistic hand. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side, except for this side, my hand is going to come out of my cape like that. And depending on where my flower is, you'll have to make a choice. Here, and then we've got a few little lines. 3, up to 3, 2 or 3. And you've got her hands. So the only other thing we have to do is kind of tie this side together, because we don't have a continuation line of her shawl here. So if you remember that this is going to be black, her shawl starts here. So if it came through, it would come through here and it would jump and it would come out there. Then you will have got it. So what I'd like you to do for me is I'd like you to take a minute and I would like you to Sharpie, okay? So you're going to either stop the video now that you've done the draw and go over everything with Sharpie if you haven't drawn in Sharpie right out of the box. Okay, so if you're not done sharpening, and you might not be, you might need to lay your pen down and or put the video on pause while and then you can catch up with us in just a minute. So the next thing we're going to do is pick which color we're going to make our shawl. So, and you can use marker on this, colored pencil, anything that you really want. If you're coloring it lightly, you're going to get a very kind of light color. If you are going to color hard, then it's going to be a little bit like deeper. And you can mix it, so some light and some dark, for a little bit of three-dimension. Right there. The one thing you are going to have to remember is to go back and kind of erase that spot between her eyes so that pencil doesn't show. And then also remember that when we have a person that has hair and let's say earrings, this part is the earring, but behind it is going to be dark in it because you're looking through it. So all right, so the color of the stamens is going to be a mixture of yellows and oranges. So I like to color the whole thing yellow, so I color them all yellow. And then I like to put orange dots on them for the little areas that have a darker color. Now, you may want to move to marker for those darker dots. There's nothing wrong with mixing the medias. Okay? Now, I always suggest that you pick another color for her outfit. It could be the same color that you used up above, but it could be different as well. So, and again, you just want to think about the way that you're coloring, the way that it flows up and down. And then you might go back to, anytime you use a color more than once, it does help it stick out. I'm going to use that orange marker on here, on our collar and down here. And then if you want to carry that other color down, if you want to make it fancier, you can do that as well. And to take it another, a little bit further, if you want, you can draw some of these with stems. really holding them. And you could put a second coat of color on there. Show that they're different from the first. Okay, so let's talk skin color. Because she's of Hispanic descent, so you're not going to want to color her pink or white. You're going to want to use a lighter tan color for her skin. Okay? And so sometimes when I want to kind of brush it on and I'm using a pencil, I kind of turn it on its side like this. You're not going to want to color in her eyes. And you're going to want to think about the way that the skin would flow. And I am coloring her lips. I'll tell you why in a minute. She's also got that color right in here and on her arms. The flowers, however, those are white. Then if you want to take just a little bit of pink and put a little pink on top of the brown. But basically she's not wearing lipstick. We're not going to draw her with lipsticks. So she's pretty like awesome right now. I'm pretty happy. And remember, I'm not always happy. But I also need something more colorful in the background. So then I'm going to take a really pretty color that I haven't used and try to brighten up that background a little bit more. Remember that sky always flows across the page. So when we're coloring it, we always want it to kind of flow in that direction. That. And there you go. So, I hope that you had success today. Remember, we don't always have success. We don't always like it. It doesn't come out the way we think it should all the time. I think I do want to give her some gold earrings. I might have to search for my gold, but I could also go back to that orange pen that I used and make them orange like that. Okay, so it's so good to be back with you. Like I said, I hope you were successful, but we don't always like it. I tell most of my older students that a lot of times when I was in school, I would actually draw the project 2 or 3 times till I got it just the way I liked it. I would like that you take a picture of this project when you're completed it and send it to me via email at cvvaquero@stpats. Okay? That way I can have the first sample for your grading done and finished. Okay, so thanks so much for joining me again, and I will see you here next week. Same time, same place. Thanks so much.